How you guys doing today? On today's show, I'd like to welcome our very special guest, Erik and George Jimenez from USO Car Club, Harbor area. How you guys doing today?
Great, good. Thank you.
Yeah, man. How you guys? So, I've been following you guys for a really long time. I've been a really big supporter of USO over the years. I've been to a couple of events. Can you tell me a little bit about the club and how you guys got started, and what got you guys into it and stuff like that? Either one of you, in any which one. What about you, George? Let's start with you.
With me, it started back when I'd say in junior high.
Let me start here. Who got in the club first? Okay, so let's start with you. Back in junior high.
Back in junior high, I started, getting involved with the lowriding scene with the bikes. I used to see one of our uncles that had, a lot of cars and got me interested in him. And over the years of, being around it then to when me and my brother were growing up, Erik, our dad would always have us out in the yard, keeping that house looking good and doing yard work. And there was this one guy, the founder of the club, Kita. He would always go
Kita Leo. What is his Leola, something like that? I believe.
Leo.
Leo. I'm sorry.
I'm still probably pronouncing it wrong.
I wish I wouldn't have even tried. But yeah. I definitely wanted. I know he's the founder. I did research a little bit prior. So, big shout out to him for starting the club and founder and president, right? Or founder and CEO.
Yeah. Well, he would go by our house, and he'd always invite us. Come check out the club when it was first starting in 92.
And that was where, in what city was that?
Carson.
In Carson.
Yeah, we're like a block over from Scott Park.
Okay.
And where he was living at was right across the street from Scott Park. So we were like right in his route to go home or go out to the store or whatever. And he would always, see us out front doing yard work, and he'd always invite us to go check out their club.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I just told Erik, I said, you know what, bro, let's go. So we finally went in 93.
93. And what were you riding, or what did you have? Did you have a car already back then?
Yeah, it was a Z28, and we were just a street riding club. He just wanted to get guys together that had the same interests and
cars.
Yeah, and he'd always, be welcoming. So it was like, you know what, let's go check them out. Let's go see what they're about.
Mm-hmm.
That first meeting got us hooked. And ever since then, Erik was, he was riding with me before to other car shows and stuff. I think that's what, caught Kita's eye, was that we were involved in the same type of thing.
Right.
And Erik was always right there with me. And he's still the same guy.
Right
there.
And so you guys kind of got in at the same time, or fairly. Erik?
I got in afterwards. I was building models while he was, working on his car, and I'd go to shows and help him set up his car. And after we were done, I'd put my models out there on display.
Mm-hmm.
And then in junior high, I got my first bike. And
bicycle or motorcycle?
Bicycle.
Bicycle?
I got my first bicycle in junior high and never looked back.
Mm-hmm. So you were really into the low riding bikes back when you first started?
Yeah, and that's why I'm a firm believer in, a lot of people like to push the kids away with the bikes, kind of like put them in the shadows,
mm-hmm.
But that's where I started, and now I look at where I'm at, and it's like you can't do that.
Right.
Because some kids, that's all they have.
Mm-hmm.
And if you kind of push them or shy them to the side, you're breaking their dreams or, whatever their hopes are for.
Right.
So that's why, anytime that it comes to the kids or, functions where, I had a problem with Lowrider magazine one time. I didn't understand why, as a bicycle, you had to pay the same price as a car when you don't even take up half the space.
Not even A quarter of the space.
No, and they would charge us the same price. And we actually had a meeting in Vegas with just within our club. And I mean, Vegas is like the Super Bowl for us.
Right.
You know, I mean, we at the time had about 37 chapters and over 200 members. And I asked Kita, you know, he asked if we had any questions or any complaints, or, you know, that was our big powwow for the year. And I told him, yeah, Kita, you know what, I got a problem. And he's like, well, what's the problem? And I says, I got a problem with the prices that Lowrider is charging us meaning the bike guys.
To get our bikes in.
Yeah.
I remember.
He says, well, you know what? He goes, I may have an answer for you. And just so happened that the guy that was in charge of Lowrider Magazine at the time was there at our meeting.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't even know it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so...
what a surprise.
Yep.
yeah, he heard what I had to say. And, you know, I told him it's not fair. You guys are talking about, you know, the movement and lowriding, you know, the kids and this and that. I said, but you guys are full of shit.
Right.
You know? I said, you know, how do you feel it's fair for a kid that probably barely has enough money to put into his bike has to pay the same amount for these guys that have cars?
Right. I mean, maybe even they should charge them nothing. You know, I mean, if it's a kid and he's the one bringing the bike and he's the one involved, maybe, you know, that's how we start them off young, right? Maybe.
Yeah. But then it's like you have some guys that, you know, and I'm not knocking them, but I feel like the bikes are there for the kids, you know?
Right.
Let them do their thing.
Yeah, let them do their thing.
You know, you got some guys that are grown adults that are
Right.
building bikes, you know?
Right,
But,
right.
you know, everybody makes different money. Everybody has their own struggles. So, you know what, if that's what they want to do, then, you know, more power to them.
Some of these bikes nowadays, man, have you seen, you know, with the shock? I mean, like the pump and like all this.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
They're getting
I mean, that-
really technical.
After I seen all that, I was like, man, you can't even enjoy the bike, you know?
Right.
It's like, and I built my first bike. We used to drive from by Scott Park. We would drive all the way to Del Amo Mall to download hookups. Remember that spot?
I do remember download inside the mall.
Yep.
I do.
They had
I
a
do.
couple bike shows, and we used to ride our bikes all the way down.
You know, I don't know if you guys know, but, you know, I went to Dolores Street School and, you know, I hung out at Scout Park for, you know, that whole, you know, all of in the 90s, man. I was there right off of Catskill. I was, you know, probably when you guys were low riding, I was, you know, in chess club or some shit. You know what I mean?
Playing caroms.
Yeah, man. So I do know I remember High and Low, man. I do remember it. It was the first shop of its kind, and, you know, it was targeted towards, you know, our culture, you know, what we do.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get my bike put inside of their display case for a couple months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That's amazing, man. So, I mean, you guys basically owe it all to your father who started you guys, and then slowly your brother, in a way.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's like a lot of people don't understand how much love I have for Kita, and I feel like he's another. I mean, my father's always been there. Mm-hmm. He's always been a great inspiration and kept us on our P's and Q's, and, you know, taught us right from wrong. But, you know, when it comes to the streets and the lowriding community, Kita's my other father.
He's the one that kind of guided you and put you up on game in that sense, right?
Yeah.
That's a really good thing, man. I mean, a lot of us, you know, of course, we have our fathers that we're born with, but then we have other people in our lives that have helped us along the way in other parts of our lives, like lowriding.
Yeah.
So, you know, I love, I'm just curious about builds and cars. You guys want to share some of the cars that you guys have had in the past, and, you know, some more memorable builds or that you guys have been a part of and stuff like that?
I'll let my brother take this one.
I mean, I definitely want to get into cold-blooded eventually, but
okay, well, you know, then I'll start.
Okay.
All right. Well, like I said, when I first started, was a 20-inch Schwinn bike that I started. I had that for probably about 3 or 4 years.
That was a male beach cruiser, was it?
Yeah.
I mean,
it was a 20-inch.
What is it called?
Like, orange crate.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, that was the one that I would take out and ride, and I mean, like I said, we're riding them places, you know, so they were getting bumps and bruises, and
you were out there riding these things.
Yeah.
And they're not the easiest things to ride.
No, they're not. They're very uncomfortable.
Yeah. And you were riding them down to the mall from Carson.
Yeah. So
which is probably, I don't know what, 7 miles or something like that, 5-7 miles.
I like
Just about
eternity.
Yeah, eternity.
So I built that, and I'd go to shows, and the judges would look at it and mark me off for this chip I had here or scratch I had over here, and I was like, man, you know, I didn't like it. You know,
Right.
I put this money in this bike, and I wasn't winning, so I wanted to win.
Right.
So then I think it was a birthday of mine that my brother had a beach cruiser of his that an uncle gave to him that he had painted for me. And that one I was like, I'm gonna be a trailer queen. You know, I wrapped it up in a sleeping bag, put it in the closet, pulled it out, go to a show, and I mean, I could probably take it out right now and it would still win. And this was,
You still have it?
yeah, I still have it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, that's one that I probably would never get rid of because, you know, my brother gave it to me and he inherited it from an uncle, so
Right.
it has a sentimental values.
Right.
But yeah, that was a sideshow, and I think that kind of like put me out there, you know, on the kind of person I was and the kind of style that I can do and the kind of quality that I can do as far as the bikes go.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't too many beach cruisers out at the time.
Right.
So and then
I think that bike was a trendsetter. Trendsetter.
Trendsetter. Back. It was the first one of its kind, or
yeah,
that
back in the 97, like late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then right after high school, you know, I didn't go out too much with my friends, and, you know, I kind of missed out a little bit. But, you know, right after high school, and, you know, I tell people I graduated on a Thursday and started work at Coke on Saturday. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have no vacation or none of that.
You went right to work right out of school.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
He's always been a worker.
You could tell, man. You could tell. I hear you're always working, man.
Yeah, I would just save my money, and I found I was looking for a 64 Impala, but I found a 62 in Santa Maria.
What year was this?
In about 97, 98. About 98.
Okay.
Found that, and just started working on that, and then worked on it until, well, with those kind of cars, you're never really done. You know,
no, it's an ongoing
until the
process
day that
forever.
You sell it, or
I don't know.
you
Cold blooded
trade it,
does look
or-
pretty done though. No.
Nope.
Never done with them cars.
So it was a 64. You said, right?
Yeah, 64 rag, and that's where, you know, I got my Harbury hustling,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had that car for over 20 years, so, you know, I don't know, it was just something that that was me,
Right.
you know. Anytime anybody's seen me, you know, I mean, people that I don't even know that's Harbury hustling, you know.
Right.
And I've been all over the place.
Everybody's seen that car everywhere. Yeah. I mean, what's the farthest that you?
We would drive down to San Diego at least 2 or 3 times a year. Santa Barbara, Santa Maria.
And you found it in Santa Maria.
Yeah.
And it was just completely.
It was a project that was started but never finished.
Mm-hmm.
And
so it had some potential already.
Yeah, but I always tell people, you know, when you're looking for cars and you say you got 30 grand to spend, make sure it's the right color you want, the right this, the right that, because if not, before you know it and you're done, you're already at $40,000-$50,000.
Right.
You know, when you could have bought something that was, you know, I can live with this color, and, you know, you can spend 40 grand on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because these things are like it's like you got a hole in your pocket.
It's a never ending hole in your pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard people. It's crazy what the kind of money, you know, these cars you put into these cars. But I understand it. You know, I mean, it's a passion, it's a love. It's you have a history that you were brought into. You have your brother, your mentor, basically. I think, you know, is what I'd like to, you know, call him, I guess. So paying this kind of money isn't so crazy, you know, to you and I and other people. You know, it's not. Yeah. It's.
I mean, women have their purses and we have our cars.
Yeah, I don't know, man, about these purses. So that was your first vehicle. What was yours, George? What did you?
Well, I started out with the cow bugs.
Mm-hmm.
And then
so you were a Volkswagen. Okay.
yeah, in high school.
Uh-huh.
And that's
So was
when,
I. So that's
when
cool.
all the bugs were out and they're slammed. And then it went to a mini truck.
Did you do the mini truck thing?
Yeah, I did the mini truck thing.
Yeah. In Carson?
Yes.
Yeah. Were you in a club?
I believe I was in USO still at that time when I had that mini truck.
So did USO, as the years have gone on, do they sort of go on with the times? I mean, like, let's say, mini trucks. So they had a mini truck chapter, or they were doing mini trucks.
I wasn't in USO when I had the mini truck.
Okay.
But I mean, I ended up getting in USO and I had the mini truck at the same time.
Okay.
But I got into USO with Z-Rock, which was an 82 Camaro. It was a Indy pace car.
Okay.
Started out with just the wheels on it, sounds, and then lifted it. And by lifting it, it was, hydraulics.
Right.
Then started chroming out, little pieces here and there.
The IROC. Wow, what a trip.
Yep.
I don't think I've seen a IROC with some juice on it.
There was only back in that time, there was only, if I could recall, 3. There was one from Ultimate Versions in San Pedro, and there was one from Rollers Only.
Phil.
Yeah, Phil. And I think that was it.
What kind of wheels did you have on there back then?
Some Dayton's.
Yeah, Dayton's on there?
Yeah, and then I ended up going with, and then Gold started getting introduced to, the cars and stuff. And
yeah. In the certain part of the 90s, yeah, and the Gold really was popular.
Then we got, Roadsters.
Yeah.
And then from that car, I went with the Impala, the 60 Impala.
Is that the one that you have now?
Yes, but it was not the color it is right now.
What year was that when you first got that?
Oh, it was, 21 years ago, I think it was.
So 2000, something like that?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah. And what kind of condition was that in?
It was a drivable car.
Where'd you find it?
That's another story, but I mean, it's that car was originally going to be meant for Erik.
Oh, okay.
And, he asked me, hey, can you go check out that car for me? And one of our members had it. And I go, yeah, I'll go check it out. So I went over to his house and I was looking around it, and I said, that's pretty nice. And I went and sat in it, and I was like, Jesus, this car is huge. I mean, I was like, so how's my brother he's going to be like this little guy in this big old car? And I was like, man, you know what, bro?
Were you going for a 60? I mean, were you looking for?
I just wanted to buy a car.
You were just looking for a car.
I had the money, and from all the money that I was saving, and
so this is one of the cars that you looked at when you bought the 64?
No, this one came before the 64, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I went and I checked it all out and everything, and I came back home and I was like, well, bro, I said, that car is big. I think I'm gonna have to buy it.
I think it's perfect for me.
Exactly. Yeah, I got set up on that.
It's way too small for you.
But I mean,
it is one of the bigger,
Yeah. I mean, that
boat.
64, it fits my brother.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely.
That car was, it's well known. People would see it, they'd know who it was. They'd seen a picture of it. Oh, that's Erik's car.
Absolutely. 100%, man. 100%. Hi, this is New Highs and Lows podcast on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be updated when we have new content. You can also comment below and let us know how we're doing. If you need a little more, please go to Apple Podcast, Stitcher, or Spotify to get complete episodes of the podcast.